Hey everyone, it's Vanessa. I'm currently editing this video right now as we speak. Um, but when I was editing, I realized, I don't know why, but I was recording the entire time. But the intro, when I went to the Zoom recording, it was gone. The intro is gone. So, here's the intro. So, hello. Welcome to this week's episode of Fangirls Only podcast. I'm Vanessa, clearly. And this week we had Louis De Schouwer on, so I hope you guys enjoy this video. And also, I started randomly losing my voice nearing the end of the episode. That's never happened before. I'm sorry for the really long intro, but hope you guys enjoy the video, and yeah, bye! So you released your song called Underwear just about a month ago. So can you tell us the song, tell us about the song and the story behind it?
So the song is called Underwear. I write a lot of music with like one of my closest friends, a guy named Jack Ryan. The song really came about where, obviously like people always ask me, they're like, how do you like get inspiration for your music? And it's like, I don't know, life, life experiences, stuff like that. We like stuff happens in life where you obviously like want to put it together in a song. The lyrics go like, "Are you thinking of me sneaking in your back doors, sitting on my front seat?" Um, and like, I had a girlfriend in high school, and like it took me a pretty long time to like get over her. And it kind of like goes into that of like missing something or like missing something that used to be yours or used to be like something that you were a part of in the past. And it's kind of like a reminiscent song. It's like in the perspective of like you're talking to that person or that thing. It doesn't have to be a person, but that that thing in a present tense about like the past and like how you're like reminiscing and everything. It's not really like a sad song, but it's just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a summary like happy song. 'Cause I feel like a lot of times in the summer you find yourself, having a good time, doing a lot of fun stuff with friends and family, but your head can sometimes drift and be in other places. So like yeah, I don't know. Sorry, that was like a really long, lengthy
Very
answer.
good. Like when I first saw the title of the song, I was like, "Hey, is this about like underwear, like different types of underwear?" I was like, "What?"
No.
It's not.
No, we honestly like my parents are like always on my case. They're constantly just like, why are you like shooting yourself in the foot, giving these weird names and everything like that? And I was just like, honestly, like I feel like it's kind of like a niche name. Like people aren't really gonna just I don't know. Obviously, it didn't mean for it to be like anything like weird or any
Yeah.
any assumption made in a weird connotation way or something like that. But um, obviously, like there's a line in the song called like "Do you ever picture me chilling in my underwear?" So I was like, oh, fine, let's make it that. Um, yeah, I mean it's I feel like it rolls off the tongue a little bit better than "Are you thinking of me?" or "Thinking of me" or something like that. Yeah.
It's a nice title. So, what would you say is your favorite instrument to play?
When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, I started with the clarinet and then I played bassoon for like a semester and then I played alto saxophone. I always played piano when I was a kid and then I'm starting to like learn the guitar now. I would say my favorite to play is the guitar just because it's like, it's easiest to write songs on. It's a very like rhythmic instrument. But other than that, I mean like I think alto sax is sick just because like you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things with alto sax.
When did you realize you wanted to make music? Like, was there a phase in your life you're like, "Okay, this is what I want to do. Like, this is how I'm gonna do it." So like that.
Yeah, yeah. When I was in eighth grade, and I had like taken piano lessons since I was like 5 years old, but I hated it, and I really honestly like looking back on it, I didn't get the most out of it because my teachers were great, and it was a lot of like classical music, and I just wasn't interested in it, and because I wouldn't practice that much. But in eighth grade, I was playing on like a basketball team, and like a couple of my friends had like beef with some other kids. And we would go we went to like a friend of mine who had like an older brother who had like GarageBand on his computer and we went and recorded like a diss track on this guy. And
Mhm.
it wasn't really like a serious thing. I mean, at least to me, it wasn't a serious thing. Um, and like after a while, like we did this like 2 or 3 times, and after a while, I was like, yo, this is really fun. Like I really like this. I don't know, it's funny because I look at it now, I was like, that's not the type of music I make at all. But yeah, I mean, it all started with that, and after a while, like I started messing around on GarageBand on my like mom's computer at home, and then I would literally record on like the Apple headphones that have like the little like microphone, and I would just be like holding it just so that it doesn't move and everything, and it sounded like complete ear rape, but yeah, it wasn't good back then, but I don't know, that's where it started. It's funny now to look at it.
It all started with a diss track. Post some random.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I saw you've had some performances recently. So what would you say is your favorite part about performing?
Um, I feel like performing is like a really, really cool and like energetic thing where the adrenaline of just like being in front of a bunch of people is like it's scary, but also it's really, really like it's a thrill for sure. Where I mean, I'm not saying you can do this, but like you're basically like a glorified hype man on stage, on
Yeah.
top of having to, there's the difference between being a good singer and being a good performer. And I try to be a little bit of both. I mean, I like take a lot from uh people like Zach Bryan who have really good stage engagement. I mean, that's obviously easier to engage with a crowd when you're playing a crowd of 50,000, 60,000 people versus like 300. But um nevertheless, I'd say like, playing with a band is one of the best things, I think. Playing with a band where you can look over at some of your friends on stage and see that they're vibing, I'm vibing, look over to see everyone on stage is vibing, and like you can just gel off each other and just go off each other's energy. And then like I think also people in the crowd can relate to that too. Like they see the band and everybody on stage having a good time, like really just engaging with each other, and I think it makes it a lot easier for the crowd to be like, "Oh, they're having fun. I'm having fun too." Like this is great. Yeah, that's what I would say is probably the best part. I would say though that it is a little scary sometimes because for example, like say you have technical difficulties, or I mean there's always going to be times where you have a tough crowd where the crowd is expecting something that you didn't prepare, or you have, like I said, technical difficulties, or um I don't know, like even I played at Brighton Music Hall and we had a bit of technical difficulties where I use a Roland VT4, which is like a vocal transformer, and it died like in the middle of one of my songs. So my mic just like completely cut out. And I got it to turn on, finish the song, and at the end of the song, like in between songs, I was trying to talk, and it literally just like died again. And I was like, okay, like I need to get batteries. So like I was yelling to the crowd, like I put the mic down, I was like, all right, I need some batteries. And then I just like put the mic down and I was like talking to the crowd, just like trying to project my voice so that everybody could hear me. Um, I don't know. I feel like it's just being able to like think on the fly, and like it does get pretty stressful because I mean, the better musicians you have, like I'm really fortunate to play with some really, really talented musicians so that they're able to improvise and kind of just like go with the flow so that if I mess up that they can kind of just pick up where I pick up at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Performing is great. I love it.
So you know how like the big celebrities like make their own brands like 818 Tequila by Kendall Jenner and Rare Beauty by Selena Gomez. So if you're able to start your own company, what products would you sell?
Um,
It's
I
a big
think
question.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, like the music side of it is you start pretty small. You start with t-shirts, you start with hoodies, you start with maybe like tote bags, go into vinyls and CDs. I haven't gotten into vinyls and CDs, but vinyls and CDs are super expensive. But I'd say like for me, like I've thought about this. Like my family background, where my family's from Belgium, and one of the biggest things in Belgium is beer. And I would like if I were to come across a large amount of money, I would want to buy a bit of land and start a brewery and
Oh,
start like I don't know, come up with some cool name, not Louis De Schouwer Brewery, but like, some cool name for the brewery, and I would love that because I feel like the recipes are that Belgian beer is made with are like very different to a lot of American beers, and I feel like there's a really big demand for beer that is is made in that way, or like even like stouts or like darker beers. For me, I would say that's like the main one that is like a dream of mine to like start a brewery, and that's like obviously like a 10 years, 15, 20 years down the line thing. I think a much more like sooner thing would I obviously like uh I'd like to get into like fashion, like a like legit fashion, starting like a fashion company. Um, where you make jeans, you produce I don't know, more of like a higher fashion. Like I would want if I were gonna do fashion, I would want like a company that's like a low fashion and then like a higher fashion, if that makes sense. Like a store for people like for a lot like cheaper items, for like very, very cheap like clearance style items, secondhand sometimes, and then also like a store for like very high profile activity and stuff like that. Because I feel like there's markets in both of those.
Like kind of like a vintage store, but like also not really.
Yeah, 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 of course, of course. Like what about you? Like what would you want to get into if you could?
Crap. Um,
Like businesses and stuff like that, I feel like I have to try and like think about what things I'm passionate about
yeah.
and things I use on a daily basis, because then it makes things so much easier to like put my whole heart into like trying to market or trying to get people on board to like buy into the product. Like if I'm already bought into the product and I like feel very strongly like, yeah, this is something that I would personally buy myself, then like, then it makes it so much easier and like to be passionate about it and say like, yeah, hell yeah, this is like some of the best stuff I've ever had. Like, yeah, you should totally buy it. I don't know, like I'm from Florida, so like in the case of the fact that I like probably gonna get skin cancer when I get older. Um, like maybe I would get into like sunscreen or something. I don't know. Um, I don't know. Like that's just like a Floridian thing. Like 95% of people get skin cancer at least once in their life. But yeah, I don't know. I would say like what else? Like like clothes. I feel like there's like some niche things that could be cool. Like I knew somebody in my hometown who was in popsicle sticks.
Oh,
Their family did popsicle sticks and they were like very, very wealthy on popsicle sticks.
that made me
Yeah, I
think
don't know.
we
That's
need side business.
Yeah, right. It's just crazy.
Oh,
Like you don't really think about that, but I don't know. It's something cool to think
yeah.
about. I mean, I would definitely love to get to a point where I could have my own like subsidiary label underneath like a major label. A lot of artists do that when they get big enough where they look at their the amount of money that they're making for a label and they restructure their contract in a way that is like, okay, I'm making you this amount of money. Like at this point, I should be my own subsidiary of you, and I can sign people to my label where then they will then be underneath and I can like feed them to you. So that they're making like even more money than they would be because the amount of money that they're making for the label is like pretty much carrying the label, if that makes sense. So somebody like Beyonce, like Jay-Z, how he has Rock Nation, he has his own label. Um, that and of course like real estate. I want to get into real estate as well. Estate is where the money's at too.
Like definitely in the future, I want to like stick with the podcast, maybe like get a studio eventually, because like I don't think I want to do Zoom interviews all my life. Like
Yeah,
most of the people I interview like aren't really in my city. Well, some of them are. Most of them like in America and stuff like you. Like
yeah,
maybe like stick with the podcast because I love doing this. And maybe like a photography business as well. This like
yeah, yeah,
studios
of
are
course.
so expensive. Oh, like, pass
Yeah,
them up.
it literally is like I'm 100%. I mean, I'm working at Target right now, so I'm like trying to pay the bills, get through school, and continue to make music. So I mean, like it's tough. It's definitely tough because I mean, people ask me like all the time. They're like, "How are you posting as much as you are while doing this and this and this?" And I'm like, "Good question. I have no idea." Like it just days feel long all the time. It's like I go to bed at 3 a.m. and I get up at 9. It's like it's a pretty usual routine now at this point. Um, but yeah, I don't know, that's life. What can you do?
Okay, so next question is, do you have any new music that you're working on?
I do have new music. So obviously like two songs that are out, Missing, Underwear. I have a song coming out called LED, like
Mm,
as in like light LED. Um, it's releasing on September 13th, I believe.
mm,
Or we're shooting for the 13th. It might be like the week after, just because we like still haven't got the mix back and everything. But yeah, it's the song's called LED. We're shooting for like an album somewhere between January and March of next year.
oh,
Um, depending on like how we continue to grow. And I mean, I say we, it's like me and my team and I, like my friends and I, we all work together. Um, I don't know, it's really just like one day at a time. I mean, like we're trying to like plan for the future and everything. And like I have a lot of music that is pretty much finished. We're trying to like make sure that the album gets mixed and mastered going forward. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely like really cool. But yes, I'm like constantly working on new music. I especially now like I've been really busy with work and like school's about to start, so I haven't really had that much chances to record and like really write new music. But I mean, I'm living in an apartment where I'm surrounded by four great musicians, and I mean, right now we have like our living room is just like speakers and like guitar and computer, and we just like record in the living room. So like one person will come out and they'll be like, "Yeah, listen to this," and I'll be like, "Fire, I hear something. Send it to me," and then we'll record on it. I don't know. It's really cool, I think. But yeah, I'm like constantly working on new music. It's a really cool environment to be surrounded by artists all the time.
um, so this is the last question. So what type of songwriter are you? Like, do you go to the studio with like a concept already, or do you get to the studio and already think about the song there?
So, it's a good question just because I think like I am an indie artist, quote unquote, whatever that means. Um, and I don't really like go to the studio. I
Well, studios are.
yeah. So like majority of my stuff like I record in my room. Like you can probably see my
Oh,
microphone right here. Um, majority of my stuff like I record in my apartment, and like we end up like sending it out to like our my mixing and mastering engineer, and he'll like work on it and like clean it up. But I mean, I'd say from start to finish it depends, it varies. Like sometimes we'll just record off from scratch and just record a guitar, or record a some sort of like drum loop or something like that, start from scratch and go there. Or I'll have a friend of mine like make a beat or something like that, and he'll make an instrumental and then send it to me, and I'll start from there, and I'll just write like the lyrics and I'll record the vocals. Um, it's like it depends honestly, because I've also had times where I've written very acoustically and like written the song, had it all like written out acoustically, and then we've gone in and then tried to like record it like in our room or something like that. It all just depends. I'd say it's like a little bit different depending on the song. It's like Missing, for example, was a we wrote that acoustically, and like the acoustic demo was like a voice memo off our phone where we're just like, oh, where is my like I don't know. It's kind of funny to think about now, but yeah, I'd say we depends on the song.
so that was all the questions. So thank you so much for playing on. It was great having
Yeah,
you.
of course, of
Great.
course. Thank you for having me.
No problem. My
Do
voice
you
is,
know when? All right, thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
of course.
Steven, so
Have a
thank
great
you.
rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
No problem.